Giants. Yes, you heard me right. Giants. So, there's so much evidence out there of giants. Like, of course, the first one I'm going to mention is the Bible, but the other ones I will mention is that there is so much conspiracy theories or rumors that there is so much scientists out there that have found so many fossilized bones and evidence of giants, and the moment they take it to the Smithsonian Museum, it disappears. Poof. In the air like dust. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows where it went. Nothing of that. Nope. But today I wanted to show you guys a video of a supposed interview with the pilot who transported the 15 tall, how does it, Kandahar, I'm saying it right, the Kandahar giant. This was the pilot that transported the 15 feet tall Kandahar giant. And he's talking about the details of what happened that day. And it just sounds interesting. But the thing is, please come up with your own conclusions with this, because this could be anybody with a mask on and just saying this story, because as me, I heard this story online and it became very popular because it's very interesting. But not only because it's just interesting because it's a giant, but the details of the giant. The giant supposedly had red hair and 6 fingers. And when I hear that, that just sounds the same as what we hear in the Bible as the Nephilims, right? But I will be quiet now and I'll continue with the video.
Was actually stationed or deployed to Qatar. It was a completely normal mission for us. We were not alerted for anything abnormal. It was in the middle of the day. I remember coming into a base in Afghanistan called Bagram. Back in those days, it was pretty austere. It was an old Russian air base that we were using. It's basically built in a bowl in the mountains where you have to stay high right up in the last minute, and then you basically come screaming back down to land. The area to the side of it was called the Valley of Death because during the Soviet days with the Mujahideen, they had fired their rockets into a lot of the helicopters, so you could see all kinds of wrecks and stuff in the valley below, which for the most part I didn't pay attention to because I was a little busy getting the airplane on the ground safely. We landed and basically was told to taxi to the very end of the tarmac. And like I said, it was middle of the day, very hot. I remember that. We opened the doors and unloaded the equipment that we had brought in. And then we were met at the aircraft by what we later on called the babysitters. But they kind of introduced themselves and said, hey, no cameras, nobody's taking pictures here. We're moving some high-value stuff.
One thing I did was go on Google Earth, and I did notice is that Kandahar is a island in a desert. It's in the middle of nowhere, and I thought that was a lake by Kandahar right there. But the more I zoomed out, I realized no, that's a sand lake. I was just amazed. It's like this is the middle of nowhere almost. Like anything could be living there. But I did see some pictures of the very few pinpoints of where some people have taken some pictures of this area, because it seems like not much people, I would say where I'm from, have just been here. This area is, I don't know, when I see this picture, it kind of seems lonely. Do you think? I don't know. Maybe just me. But the car makes it seems like there's people around, but I don't know, something about it makes it seem so lonely. But those mountains could be hiding something.
When the load got there, we're very, of course, curious to see what it was, because that's just the way you are when you're told that you're not allowed to have a camera. They say this thing had been dead for maybe a day or two, but it stunk. And when I say stunk, I've smelled dead things before, but this had a more of a, I want to say a musky stink, kind of a, not really a decay, but more of a, if somebody hadn't taken a shower in like 10 years type of a musty.
Well, of course he's gonna stink. He's a 15 tall man in the middle of the desert where it's hot as hell. His balls must be sweating. So I think this man is like 20 gym bros in a very small room, all tied up together. That's the smell of it. I don't know why I even said this.
Musky stink is all I can tell you. And it was basically a dead guy. And this guy was extremely large. And when I say large, our pallets are basically, if I remember correctly, about 9 by 12 feet or so. This guy was laying in a fetal position on the pallet. He filled the pallet. We estimated his size at approximately 12 to 10 feet tall. I did see his skin color. I was expecting somebody of more Arabic descent, being in Afghanistan and all. I know he was dead, but he was very pale, very white. Another thing that us and the rest of the crew did was we took our feet. He was in a fetal position, so you could take your feet and put it you could see where his feet were there, and they were wrapped up. He did not have shoes on, but he had looked like he was wrapping them in some kind of a canvas type stuff. But we were sticking our feet up next to his feet, and his feet were extremely big. We know that the standard weight on one of those pallets is about 1,500 pounds, and I do remember that the loadmaster did the weights, and it was around 1,100-pound guy. The pallet sits on dunnage. You know what dunnage is? It's basically like railroad ties so that you can get a forklift underneath it and pick it up. So it was on dunnage, and basic dunnage is like maybe a 4x4. And then the pallet is, say, yay thick. It's actually aluminum and balsa wood. And this guy, laying down was very, very wide. And he was, like I said, he's in a fetal position, and you go up and you hit it, and of course he's under a tarp and all that, I understand that, but he was a dense guy. We questioned the babysitters of, hey, where'd you get this guy? And some of the Army guys that were with him relayed to us that this guy had, I guess, been living up in the mountains next to a village where the villagers basically treated him like a god. I did infer that they were making sacrifices to this guy because they said they found bones of people. The giant supposedly, like I said, I was not there, supposedly killed the first team that they came across. He was extremely big and fast and agile for a guy that size. They sent up another team, and when the second team went in there to get him, supposedly he had already started to basically eat on the team that had been killed the first time. They then grabbed a helicopter, and the helicopter brought him down where we picked him up. After we loaded the giant, it was just a standard mission back. We took him all the way back to Al Udeid in Qatar, where he was transloaded onto another airplane. I believe it was a C-17. I was done with my mission then. I got away from it. I was done. I did ask some questions later of, where it might have gone. And as the grapevine goes, it was probably taken back to the United States. And the words I heard were right pat. But again, I don't know.
As I mentioned, when I first heard about this, it was very interesting to me. Just the details of how they describe this being, this giant, and then later hearing that the people nearby, the villages nearby, worship this giant like a god and brought it sacrifices. The more and more I hear about it, just sounds more what the Nephilims were like, doesn't it? At this point, if this is real, then that means the Nephilims are real, right? Well, as I tell you, there's a lot of evidence of giants out there. And the thing is that many museums, and I heard that many companies and certain powerful people do not want this to come out to the public because it could jeopardize something that benefits them in some way. I mentioned this Smithsonian church because I've read several stories, let me tell you, of people that have found fingers. Giant human fingers, giant human toes, femurs, just leg bones buried in their backyard, or they were just walking somewhere and they stumbled upon it. But the moment they take it to the Smithsonian church, it disappears. And they deny that it was ever taken, or it was ever even brought there, or that it even existed. And of course they would throw a lot of honey at these people. What I mean honey is caca, and it's just not cool because this person stumbled upon, let's say for example, if it was you, it's like if you stumbled upon a dinosaur bone and you went to a museum, they're like, look, I found a dinosaur bone. You're like, oh, thank you, let's put it on the museum, and it's gone. And then you come back and ask, hey, where's my dinosaur bone? What dinosaur bone? What are you talking about? When were you talking about? And this is what I mean about this type of stuff. It's very interesting information, and I always recommend you to investigate this and research this yourself. Come up with your own conclusions. I'm always gonna say this. I'm gonna repeat this all the time. Come up with your own conclusions. Sometimes reality is stranger than fiction, and I I'm finding that out more and more every day. The more I investigate, the more I research, the more I study. If you would like to see more information and content, subscribe, give this video a like, and go ahead and share it. Also, follow me on Instagram. I'm posting a lot of stuff there, and TikTok might be banned, so don't follow me on TikTok. Go to Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. All right, peace out.
What is the next step of the operation?
I go there, yes, I go there.